If you've ever sat in a pediatrician's office holding your baby, feeling rushed, pressured, or talked over, this episode is for you. Today we're going to say the quiet part out loud. Too many parents are told that being a good parent means not asking questions, that informed consent is optional, that compliance equals care. And we don't buy that. This episode is not about telling you what to do. It's about reminding you that you are allowed to think, pause, question, and choose when it comes to your child's body. We're talking about what moms and dads can actually say in the room, the data you're allowed to ask for, the questions that slow the conveyor belt of one-size-fits-all medicine. Whether you vaccinate on a schedule, delay, modify, or choose not to vaccinate at all, this conversation is about informed consent, medical freedom, and partnership in care. If this makes you uncomfortable, good. Stay anyway, because confident parents don't come from fear. They come from information.
Welcome to Root Cause Holistic Health. I'm Dr. Jon Harmon, physician, brain health expert, and your host on this no-fluff journey into whole body healing.
And I'm Tracey Green, wellness coach, mom, and co-host in this space where we get real about what actually heals, not just what's trending.
We're here to help you uncover what's really going on and empower you to take the next step in your healing journey.
All right, Dr. Harmon, you have 8 kids and 27 grandkids. You're well qualified for this discussion. Let's talk about well baby visits. What exactly happens in a well baby visit?
Well, in my opinion, the well baby visit, first of all, the day of the wellness visit in a child's life is one of the most dangerous days of that child's life, because the schedule is so that the doctor or the staff can give your baby the vaccines. For the most part, they check your baby. What's the length, since they're not standing, the length or height of the child, and are they growing right? They weigh them, they measure them, and they give vaccines. So if the child has something going on that you're suspicious of, they're not feeding right, they're having a hard time latching on, they seem like they're always crying, or that's a different story. But a wellness visit, when you take that child in for those visits, the main purpose is so that the doctor can give those vaccines. You have a right as a parent to tell the doctor and the staff, we aren't doing those right now. If they ask why, then if it were my child, I would say, because we've chosen not to. End of story. If you don't want to do them, don't do them. If they give you a guilt trip, if they shame you, then say we won't be coming back. Your child's health is much more important than pleasing the doctor or the nurse and just consenting to whatever they want to do. And that's my opinion. You have your own free will, but knowing what we know about vaccines, it's a crapshoot whether or not your baby's going to respond what they consider to be normal, have a normal response, or some serious side effect.
Well, and like you said, the system is designed to go in there, is it 3, 6, 9, 12 months? I mean, it's designed for a vaccine schedule, which there is no safety studies, there's no testing on these vaccines, the combination of vaccines. It always amazes me when moms are so worried about one ingredient, let's just do bananas for 7 days and we'll do apples for 7 days, when they don't even know the hundreds of ingredients and combination of ingredients and combination in the vaccines that are being injected into the little baby.
Yeah, and the pediatrician will normally tell people, moms, don't start feeding your baby, real foods or this or that. It's something that goes in the mouth, yet they'll just inject all of these chemicals into the baby. If I concocted something in my garage with polysorbate 80, aluminum, thimerosal, which is mercury, and all kinds of other things, aborted fetal tissue,
Monkey cells.
bovine serum.
Yeah.
If I said, hey, I met some stuff in my garage, and why don't you bring your baby over, and I'm just going to inject it with them and see how it does, I'd be arrested.
Well, and a lot of people don't know. They don't know the ingredients. They don't know the schedule, which is why we did our series Vax Facts. That was one of my favorite podcasts that we've done so far. And I think parents really need to understand that I'm fully vaccinated and I'm fine statement is so critically wrong. And people don't understand that. I literally just heard it today. I had a friend of mine, I'm fully vaccinated and I'm fine. And I said, let's stop and talk about that for a minute. You're in your 40s, so you're vaccinated in the 70s and 80s. That schedule, by the time I was 3, I got 7 vaccinations. Babies today, yes, they've changed the schedule a little bit, but they're still getting more than 7 vaccinations by the time they're 3. It's insane, this schedule now. Parents aren't aware of that at all, nor do they think they have a choice. They get into that doctor's office and they think, oh, they've got the white coat, they have letters behind their name, they must know what's best for my baby. But I absolutely believe in my heart of hearts that moms and dads know their baby. They're with them 24 hours a day. They know their baby best. They know what's best for their baby. The one size fits all doesn't make sense to me either. Every baby gets the same amount of vaccinations, doesn't matter anything.
And what most parents don't know is the genetic profile of their child.
Oh, yeah.
The children, anybody, human beings can have genetic variants, for example, the MTHFR variant, where they can't detox very fast. And so though that genetic variant and others make it so the child is predisposed to not do well. And you don't know if your baby does have one of those genetic variants. And so it would be helpful to at least delay until they're older. If you are choosing to get the vaccines, that's your choice. We can't tell you what to do, but we can tell you what the science is and what the CDC has had to admit and publish on their website what the potential side effects are. So it's like rolling the dice when you walk into that pediatrician's office. Some children actually die that day. Some children die within 3 days. Some take 7 days, SIDS or seizures, or they have other things, and you just don't know.
I want to talk about alternatives because I took my daughter to her very first well baby visit, and she had a vaccine injury that day. She had fever 106, 107, thighs swelled up, literally 24 hours, ended up in the ER. Thankfully, I only took her to one well baby visit, and then that was it. After that, it was chiropractic care. So a lot of people don't know that they don't have options. Moms think, they have to go to these well baby visits. They're scheduled.
Right.
They've got to go 3, 6, 9. As a chiropractor of 35 years, let's talk about what the difference is between going to a well baby visit versus going to a chiropractor and getting the activator method done to an infant.
Yeah, you look at nervous system dysregulation. You look at the child has gone through all this trauma coming through the birth canal, and sometimes the doctor pulls on the head or uses forceps, or the baby is just in a bad position, stuck there for a long time. You can have all kinds of distortion in the spine, in the upper cervical spine, in other parts. There's a substance called the dura, which is the covering that attaches to the base of the skull and the top 3 vertebrae, and then doesn't attach again until it gets down to the tailbone or the coccyx. And so if you have twisting or distortions up in the upper cervical spine or down in the pelvis near the tailbone, it can be pulling on that dura, which then causes all kinds of neurological issues, either right then and there from that day on, or later when they're a little bit older, and it shows up as different things, a distortion when they're walking, or maybe they don't walk it takes them a long time to start walking because it affects their coordination.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
fascinating.
there's so many aspects to that. And I can tell you, the pediatrician's not going to look at that.
Mm-mm. No.
And go to a chiropractor who specializes in infants and children would be my recommendation.
Absolutely. I think that one of the points that I really want to make is moms and dads have the right to just pause. They don't need to rush into decisions, especially they're in that pediatrician's office right there, and things are going so fast, and people are like, let's do it, let's get you in and out. Everybody does it. This is the schedule. I think moms need to breathe, take a moment, especially if it doesn't feel right in your gut. That mommy gut, that intuition that stirs. I wish moms would listen to that more and know they have options. Chiropractors for sure, naturopathic doctors, functional medicine doctors.
And that starts in the delivery room. And the mom has to be, and the mom and dad, if the dad's available, they have to sit down with the obstetrician and say, this is what I want. I don't want them to clamp the cord. Don't just say cut the cord. I don't want them to clamp the cord. I saw a video the other day, and it's this mom. They put the baby up on mom, and they always want to wipe off the vernix. They want to wipe off. It's that whitish stuff. Don't let them do that. That's intentional. That's like beef tallow on the skin to protect the skin. And this mom said, no, I don't want you to cut the cord. And the nurse, no, it's okay. We're just you don't want it. It's already done what it needs to do. It's gone into the baby. And we just need to clamp the cord. So you have to I don't want the cord cut, but I don't want it clamped. I don't want it clamped right away because I want all of those stem cells and all of the blood that needs to go to the baby before they clamp it. There are
Such good
many components that your child needs a ton of stem cells to repair the damage that has just occurred being squeezed out of this little tunnel. And it happens so quickly, and the nurses are so trained to do this, and this. We got another baby we got to get in here, so we want to get you out of here. We're going to cut, we're going to clamp, we're going to cut, we're going to get you out of this room. We have more babies to be born. So in advance, that discussion has to happen. This is what I want. And I would recommend an advocate in that room with you. Get someone who hasn't just given birth. Someone who is, more, observant of what's going on. And you have to have the conversation with that advocate. He or she is going to say, no, don't do that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Otherwise, they just do what they do.
I love that you brought that up. So what came to my mind is erythromycin. Nobody told me about erythromycin in my birth plan. I didn't even know about erythromycin until after the fact.
No, most moms don't.
No, and my Bella had a horrible allergic reaction. Her little eye swelled so much from the erythromycin. She had an allergic reaction to it. And what made me the most mad about that, Dr. Harmon, she didn't need it. She had an allergic reaction over something she didn't need. So for those of you that don't know, erythromycin is in case the mom has an STD. Guess what? I had prenatal care. I was married for years and years. That should have been discussed way before I was having my daughter. So for the fact that my daughter had erythromycin smeared in her eyes, had the allergic reaction, and as you've taught me, we didn't get that extra bonding because she couldn't see me right after she was born. So I think that's another point that we need to add to the advocate and make sure that birth plan is in place. Erythromycin. Okay, if there's a need, then that's another topic. But if you have prenatal care, you don't have STDs, then guess what? You absolutely need to refuse erythromycin.
Yeah, it's really sad. That bonding moment when they put the baby up on mama and they make eye contact, even though the baby just born, if everything's blurry, they're not able to do that right away. That's nature. That's a God-given thing where an infant bonds with mama. And most women, I mean, you can test for STDs, right? So don't let your baby come into the world and immediately not be able to see you, mama.
So maddening.
Refuse. Tell them
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. And be bold, be brave, be confident. This is what we're doing and this is what we're not doing. Otherwise they'll just do it and it's too late.
Because it's the norm. They're trained. That's what they do every day,
Yep.
in and out. So right after birth is vitamin K. Let's talk about the vitamin K shot because we didn't
Oh
get to
boy.
talk on that one. And I would love to have a conversation around vitamin K.
Well, they make it sound so innocuous. Hey, we're just going to give you
Yeah.
some vitamin K. So why do they even do that? Let's talk about that. The reason our gut makes vitamin K. So babies actually have a low vitamin K when they're born. Why is that? Whether you believe in creation or evolution, don't you think there would be a reason why we don't want to clot blood? Because vitamin K is involved in the clotting process. What would be the reason that Mother Nature, God, evolution, would want to have blood that's kind of thin? Well, it's because there's this big flood of stem cells that need to be able to navigate and move through the bloodstream to get to the sites that have been damaged, through the birth process. So they clamp the cord, which keeps the blood thin without the stem cells. So they think they need to give you a vitamin K because your baby doesn't make any. But the natural process is my blood stays a little thin for a little bit. The stem cells come in, they go where they need to go. Guess what? When mama starts nursing, there's actually a higher amount of vitamin K in the colostrum in the first few feedings because it's all planned out and it's been happening that way for millennia. But it's intervention that creates the need to give vitamin K because they don't allow the stem cells. It's so aggravating. I hope I don't sound too aggravated, but it's so frustrating that the medical community has caused that need, and now they give this vitamin K. Let's say vitamin K with the poisons in it. Vitamin K has a lot of chemicals in it, and it's not just vitamin K. It's not, and it's not necessary if you don't clamp and cut the cord.
I love all of that. Now, is there a difference between boys and girls, like with circumcision or anything? Because I know there's a lot of controversy around vitamin K and needed for circumcision. So do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Well, first of all, don't circumcise your boy. They've actually done testing, and I looked into this years ago, and the amount of pain and trauma, and they say, well, it's just a little infant. Well, my nervous system remembers that. That's a lot of pain and trauma, and it's not normal.
Oh.
It's not healthy. They say, yeah, it's for cleanliness. Really? You're going to go against God or evolution? That we need to cut something off that was supposed to be there? And some men are trying to have that grow back by stretching that foreskin so that they can get it back because they didn't choose to have that done.
Wow.
First of all, don't let them circumcise your son. There's no need. There's no need. It's not normal. And if you really want to get the inside scoop, go do the research on that, on how it's not a healthy thing to do, and it's extremely painful to that young little boy.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, we do so many horrific things and we accept them as normal. It's a real sad statement about our medical community, what they've done to childbirth. I would recommend having a midwife come and talk to that midwife. Most births are just really easy, and you have to have a plan if something goes south. If there's a breech birth, and sure, obviously, that's important. There are things in medicine that are very helpful, mostly emergencies, but if you let the body do the normal processes, you have a better outcome of just having a healthy child.
I think that our healthcare system, especially pregnancy and birth, has been so hijacked by money and big pharma. And they found all these loopholes, and people are just following suit. They're just, sheep. They're just going right with the flow, and they're not stopping and pausing and actually thinking about what feels right in their gut. If I had it to do all over again with my daughter's 18 now. So if I had it to do over again with my 18 years of research that I've done now, I would have never gotten an epidural. I was in active labor. I would have given birth to my daughter hours before had I not had my epidural, because I was progressing just fine. And then the epidural screeching stop.
Yeah.
My active labor completely stopped when they gave me that epidural. And I didn't know the risks and the dangers to the epidural or the side effects or long-term, any of that, till after years later. I would have never, ever, ever gotten an epidural if I knew then what I know now. The erythema.
You can't feel, you can't push.
Right. Just stopped everything. No, I love this conversation that hopefully we're giving the moms permission to just pause. We were made perfect. I believe in God. I believe that God made all of us perfect. He gave us perfect babies. We don't need to, like you said, there's stem cells and the clamping of the umbilical cord, baby looking at mama right after birth. I mean, there's so many precious moments that are by design. And then that first feeding with the colostrum and all of that happens, that full circle moment. Dr. Harmon, it's so sad to me that, like I said, it's been hijacked.
And that the vernix, the whitish, really greasy stuff that's on the baby, there's a reason it's there, and they want to wash it off, and moms want to wash it off. We got to get this off. There's some left on there. We got to give the baby a bath. You don't. Just let it naturally stay on there as long as it will stay on. That's another important thing. You think, ooh, we got to get this stuff off of this. It looks gross.
I love your point about having an advocate. You need somebody that's there, that's not drugged up, not emotional. Mom and dad can't make decisions right there on the spot because you're in the moment. Having a patient advocate or baby advocate watching that infant from the very second. I had my husband watch our daughter because I didn't want her out of our sight at all. I was like, follow them to the, give her bath, whatever, because I was scared to death about vaccines because I just started my research. I hadn't fully decided if we were going to vaccinate or not. We wanted to do a few. Of the really bad ones. And then, of course, after her vaccine injury, after the first well baby visit, we never went back to the pediatrician's office. So, live and learn, right?
Absolutely. And you look at, the whole of civilization, no vaccines. Kids get sick. They do. You're going to be worried. They get a fever. Sometimes kids will have a fever and they're still out playing. They're still playing. It's the body's natural response to trying to kill off. It's going to raise the temperature of the body to get rid of the thing, but not you. And parents freak out. We got to give my baby Tylenol, get the fever down, or ibuprofen, whatever it is, and not let that whole thing take its natural course. Now, if a baby has a really high fever for a long time, that's an issue. But most of the time, they have a fever for a few days, and you help them. They're going to be cranky. And I want to just kind of comfort the moms to let them know that that's a natural, normal response, and you don't want to block it. 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, I've had those. And, I didn't take anything either. My mom was way before her time. We didn't do any of that stuff. And it's important for moms to have that knowledge in advance to prepare for having that child, and know that you're going to kind of guide them through that. You don't need to give them drugs. You don't need to give them vaccines.
I think too that a fever for a couple days, I think moms need to, okay, let's pause. Let's make sure that they're rested. Let's get away from the screen time. Have they been outside? Have they touched the earth in a few days? Have they had any sunlight? Are they eating? I think that stopping the sugar, stopping the screen time, actually resting for a couple days, like you said, working through that fever. Moms, I think we're in this right now. I want everything right now. We want to fix everything right now generation. Yeah. Our society, and it's not that way. Our bodies, like you said, a fever is a signal. It's a natural response to something, and their body's working through something. It's okay. I can't tell you how many moms I see on these mom groups I'm in. They have 101 fever and they're going to the ER. I'm like, why? Why are you exposing them to the emergency room for 101 fever?
Because they've been scared by the medical community. You got to bring your baby in if it has a fever. No, you don't. You just don't. It's important to let things go. And then we talked about it on the episode about measles. If a child gets the measles and then their body fights it off, they have a much more robust immune system, and they're much less likely to have cancer when they get older. So there are lots of things that are correlated with your body building the strength and bolstering the immune system. It's like learning how to fight. And if your immune system learns how to fight and get strong, you're much more likely to be able to fight off other things as well.
Measles are in the news big time right now. People are canceling trips. They're canceling family vacations because of measles outbreaks. It's interesting to me. Measles is an infection. It's a 7 to 14 day infection that gets you immunity to some cancers. Like you said, it's an infection. It is okay. I find it interesting that the news fear mongering is high right now.
Oh my gosh. There were 3 cases found in an airport. Oh my goodness. It's actually, I chuckle when I read that, because I know what they're doing. They're trying to scare everybody and get them running into the pediatrician or their own doctor and get the vaccine.
Well, and it's an infection. It's a virus. It's got to run its course. And unless you're actively sick, I'm not running around with measles. You don't just run around and they blame it on the unvaccinated. Well, the unvaccinated got me sick. I love how all of us unvaccinated, our kids that are unvaccinated, are just running around with polio and measles just in their system. They're just spreading infections all over. Yeah,
it's a global indoctrination is what it is. And it's sad. It's sad to see parents get so scared about that, but it's the media's, the media is complicit in that. The big pharma, they advertise on TV and they don't advertise to actually sell those drugs. They don't really care if it motivates people to go to the doctor and say, I want this drug. It's for control. If you control 80% of the advertising dollars, those news, the news agencies, the news corporations are going to report what you want them to report, and they're not going to report things that will go against their narrative and their indoctrination about vaccines and drugs. And that's the sad part.
So if the United States has the most vaccinated babies, we should be the healthiest when we're not. We're one of the sickest countries.
Well, we have the highest vaccination rate and we have the highest infant mortality. It must be some kind of a huge coincidence. And people don't hear that. They usually don't hear that from the media, but it's true. We have the highest infant mortality rate, and it's the highest first day infant mortality rate, and that's when they get the what?
Vaccines, the first round of vaccines.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's really sad too that people don't know that there's alternatives to, like I said earlier, stopping, resting, getting outside every day. There's going to the chiropractor, calling a naturopath, going to functional medicine doctors. These are new words to people. They don't understand the holistic lifestyle. They're used to going to a pediatric's office and, doing the usual, getting amoxicillin or, any other antibiotic that they think is going to help with viruses. You know what I mean?
I do.
There's other options. So I really want to let our audience know that they have options rather than running to the pediatrician or the ER.
And empower them to first of all, be educated so that they're not fearful and to make your own decisions. Mm-hmm. Your doctor does not have control over your child or your decisions to do what you think is best for your child. Stand up for that child. Their brain, their life depends on that many, many times.
Oh, it's amazing to me how different life could be for a baby if they have all of the natural start to life the way that it was meant to be.
Yes.
If this episode stirred something in you, good. It was supposed to. Parenting was never meant to be passive, and healthcare was never meant to be a one-way conversation. Asking questions does not make you difficult. Wanting data does not make you anti-science. Pausing does not make you negligent. It makes you a parent who is paying attention. You are allowed to say not today. You are allowed to say, show me the data. You are allowed to say, this doesn't feel right for my child. The goal is not fear. The goal is discernment, not rebellion, but responsibility. And if no one has told you yet, let us be clear. You are the expert in your child. Ask better questions, demand better conversations, and don't outsource your intuition to a system that doesn't know your child's name, history, or biology. This is Root Cause, and this is what empowered parenting sounds like.
Thanks for tuning in to Root Cause Holistic Health. We're here to help you uncover what's really going on and empower you to take the next step in your healing journey.
Whether you're a mom, a dad, or just someone ready to stop settling for Band-Aid fixes, we hope today's episode gave you something to think about.
If you found this episode valuable, do us a favor, share it with someone you love, and leave a review so we can reach more families like yours.
Make sure to hit follow so you don't miss next week's episode. We've got more honest conversations, practical tips, and root cause wisdom coming your way.
Until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, and most of all, stay connected to what truly matters.
We'll see you next time on Root Cause Holistic Health.